Hey boss, thanks for joining me today. I am going to talk to you about how you can hold your employees accountable for their performance. So good managers, bottom line, are ones that really focus on results. This is for good leadership as well. And so it's not them focusing on what the employee is doing minute by minute every single day. It's rather focusing on the results and everything that they're achieving. So if you're not familiar with who I am, I'm Dr. Heather Williamson with the Transformation Group, and I am a social psychologist that works with CEOs and business owners to help them build their high-performing teams through employee trust. So let's get started, and I want to share with you 5 tips that you can start implementing today to make sure that you are holding your employees accountable for their performance. And the first tip I have for you is that you have to establish performance standards. So think about it this way. If your employee does not clearly understand what it is that you want from them, then how do you expect them to be able to meet those expectations? So it's important for you to make sure that you're clear on the attitude expectations that you have of your employees. You need to be clear on the competencies that they need to have. You also need to be clear on the skills that they need to be successful in order to meet those expectations that you have of them with regard to performance. So when it comes to having that clearly communicated to them, excuse me, this is going to help you be able to measure their achievements and also the effectiveness of them meeting those performance expectations. And it's also going to let you know that they're not, when and if they're not meeting them or lack thereof. And then this is an opportunity also for you to make sure that you are clearly communicating to them that what those priorities are, so they're not in conflict of understanding, well, my boss told me I need to focus on this project, and then, later in the day he said, oh, but get your timesheets in. So make sure that you are very clear and prioritize to them what it is that you are wanting. The second tip I have for you guys is to address lack of performance ASAP. So this is really important because your employees need to understand when they are not meeting performance expectations and that you are going to address it. You can't just let it slide and ignore it because and also you can't actually pass those responsibilities on to a higher performing employee that you have, because when you do this, you are then overloading that particular employee, and it's not fair to him or her, and it's also not fair to pass the work off of the lower performing employee and letting them slide. And also your other employees are watching you do this. So they're learning that, hey, Joe doesn't have to really, he can be late on his assignments. He can not be really detailed in his reports, and it's okay. Nothing's ever done. And that's going to demotivate your team. Also, when it comes to your employees not, meeting those performance expectations, it's really important to understand why it's happening. And so this is where you need to be a little bit more of a sleuth and clearly figuring out the answer to the question of why. And one question that you can actually ask that employee is, walk me through, Joe, what your thought process was on XYZ, fill in the blank. You can also ask the question, if it's more skill related, hey, instead of just showing me that you're telling me that you didn't meet those expectations or that you didn't turn in your assignment, you need more time, why don't you, show me the steps that you're taking to get to that result. So that way you can kind of see, all right, where there's a lack of knowledge or a lack of skill. It kind of helps uncover that. And this is really helpful when it comes to building your high-performing team. Also, when you're doing this, it needs to be one-on-one, not in a group. And so your approach really should be helpful and encouraging. And also, when you are finding all this information out, find out opportunities for providing more resources or providing more trainings for that specific employee. The third tip I have for you is to create and establish SMART goals. SMART goals are very clear in that they are specific, measurable, attainable, realistically high, and time-bound. So just for example, here's a SMART goal for you. So if you're, let's say, in an HR department. So a SMART goal would be to conduct 10 phone interviews and 3 in-person on-site interviews in order to hire a new finance manager by the end of the second quarter. So with this example, it's very specific and it's measurable. 3 phone interviews and 3 on-site interviews, because you're hiring the goal of hiring a new finance manager. And it's time bound because you want to accomplish it by the end of the second quarter. So having SMART goals is key because there is no misunderstanding, because it's very clear and very specific. Lo and behold, SMART goals. All right, now the fourth tip I have for you is follow-up. Follow-up is key, and it should be part of your process. Having a one and done is not going to be effective when it comes to having your employees hold themselves accountable for performance. So one thing that you can do is establish kind of a structure, and that structure can be in the form of your weekly meetings. And so during these weekly meetings, I suggest, and I did this as well, is have a time where they are sharing their challenges. And this is an opportunity to find out, okay, where is there some competency issues, some misunderstanding there, where's maybe some skill sets need to be developed. This is an opportunity to give you more information on why they are not meeting the performance standards for you. Also, allow them to share successes. This is really important because this is also going to tell you, hey, they're achieving their goals. They're being held accountable for performance. And this is an opportunity for them to share in their wins, which has a huge impact. Which leads me to my next and final tip for you, and that is to give praise. Giving praise is so simple, and yet it has such a huge impact. When it comes to giving praise, make sure that you acknowledge those wins. Acknowledge, the effort that goes behind it. And it is an opportunity for you to give that positive reinforcement, that positive feedback, because then they are going to, believe it or not, they are going to create this internal motivation for themselves, because you're letting them know how well they're doing. That's going to create that inner motivation for them to keep trying and setting themselves higher goals. And this is also a win-win for you and the business. Also, it's going to increase their self-confidence. So that is also with their increased self-confidence, their internal motivators kicking in, and you acknowledging and praising their successes. This all is going to support the accountability for their performance. So anyway, hope this helps. If it did, please like the button and share this with other bosses that might need the same tips in order to hold their employees accountable for performance. With that, don't forget to like the button below, and I can't wait to see you guys next time. Until then, bye.